Hello, in this tutorial I will show how to produce the occlusal surgical splints after I've performed the standard planing for our surgery. We have to go through this button, Guides, and choose the first option, Splints Design. In this layout we see on the left, we have to prepare maxillary and mandible segment, and then we can create intermediate, final and presurgical splints. First step is prepare the maxilla. So we have to go placing the buccal points. We have to mark points and we click a number of points all around the vestibular or buccal surface of my teeth. Now I have to place the same number of points inside in the lingual or palatine surface. I click on number 2, mark points. It's not necessary that they are placed in the same position. The only needing is that they are the same number of points. Okay, I have 8 points in buccal surface and 8 points in lingual points. So now I just can adjust the buccal offset. For example, I can place here 3 and lingual offset, and then I just build sheet. Right now the only thing I have to check that the sheet the software is producing is almost straight. I can adjust a little bit some points. Okay, if I'm okay, I go exactly the same with mandible. I go to the second step, prepare mandible, and now I have to do the same work. Place the points in the buccal surface, and place the points in the lingual surface. Could be a good idea avoid the canine, so we can avoid some strange morph of these sheets in this region. I have 6 points outside and 6 points inside. You can check from this field. So now I have already adjusted the buccal offset, lingual offset, and I just click on build sheet. Again, what I have to check is this sheet is proper and it's straight. Okay, if I like the results, I can go on with the build intermediate splint. In this step, the software will ask us which bone is going to operate first, so I have to check if I want to operate first maxilla or mandible. Click OK and click on the bone I want to operate, mandible. So now the mandible is in the final position and the maxilla is in the original position. What I have to do is click on mouth opening in this arrow, and it's producing little by little a little space in which I can introduce my splints. So now, for example, I have 0.44 millimeter, and I can check again the offset. I have different facial and lingual offset, and the teeth offset is about the discrepance or the little space I will have between the splints and the teeth. When I finish to adjust this value, I can go directly to intermediate splint button. The software will produce automatically my intermediate splint. I can, in the visualization panel, I can deactivate anatomical structure if I want to see just my splint. If it's okay, I can go on with the second step. This is the final splint in which both segment, maxillary and mandible, they are in the final position. I have to do the same, small mouth opening amount, so just to have some little space between them. Check the offset, and then just produce the final splint. If for some kind of reason I'm not agree with the results, I can just delete the splints adjust, for example, the offset, and then click again on Final Splint. So now I can hide the anatomical structure and I can personalize my splints. That's the same for intermediate, for final, for any kind of splints. I can place a label, for example here, with this button, label. I can type the text like final splint, and making click on the splints, the software will produce this label. So that's the label. I have to adjust. How? I have to click again on the text, activate me this kind of tool, and then I can just click on OK if I want to add a rectangle, or if I want to adapt to surface, if I want to remove material for the text, and I can also adjust the height for the text and the depth. If I click on this, the text will be bigger or smaller. So now I click on OK. The software will produce this kind of label with a square all around, a rectangle, and I can directly print this splint with this label. Also, what I can do is add some perforation. For example, to add perforation, I can just click on Drill Holes. With the right button on the splint, I can change the opacity, like 50%, so I can take in account the surface of the above arch. For example, if I want to make a perforation over here, I just click here in the middle of the premolar and molar, and I can adjust the diameter. When I'm okay with this, I just click OK. So the software will produce a perforation all in the splints. I can directly export the splint with all this kind of personalization. Last part is the pre-surgical splints. It's a splint that we can use, for example, to check the adjustment in the teeth of my patients, or we can also use like occlusal reference for osteotomy guide. The workflow is exactly the same. I have to produce a little mouth opening, alterate the offset, and then just click on pre-surgical splints. So that's the results of my splints. If I want to export and print all the splints I produced, I can just click on End when I finish, and here in the mesh list, all the splints I've created, I can export it one by one, for example with the right button, export to STL, or I can export all together. I can click with Ctrl key, right button in the list, and then export to STL. So now I just have to choose in which folder I want to save it, and OK. So they will be saved and ready for print.